Jam sesh.
All right.
Still sounding good. So you've been having a hard time recently.
Yeah, I have.
Seems like both of the meaningful relationships you found have ended about the same, with you feeling good after spending some time together and then getting dumped over the phone.
Getting dumped over the phone is not the easiest thing, right? But I think I prefer to read something as opposed to have to listen to something.
Sure, it's the new generation, right?
As the semi-millennial in me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what's up with that? Why does this keep happening?
I think maybe I can come off a little bit intense. A little bit of intensity. And maybe sometimes it's just not what the person is looking for, right?
In our talks, we've tied your recent situations to the themes of emotional intelligence and vulnerability.
Yeah, so you and I were conversing over the weekend at a party, and I was telling you about how my dad kind of likes to say that I don't have a high level of emotional intelligence, because perhaps I let my emotions control my decision making, and I always kind of make my love life the center of my life.
Right, and sometimes our emotional intelligence serves us by allowing a healthy response to a difficult situation, and then sometimes our lack of emotional intelligence helps make situations worse, right?
Right, but what was interesting was your take on it, right? You interjected the conversation. You said, "No, I think by the definition of emotional intelligence, I would say that you have a lot of emotional intelligence."
Well, there's two sides to the coin, right? There's the external portion and the internal, and he's right that, you know, managing, controlling, and expressing your emotions in a healthy way is critical. Responding to things correctly. But then there's the external component where you're aware of how others around you are feeling, perceiving their emotions and responding correctly or helpfully to the others around you. And that's an area where you might excel more than some.
Yeah, I think I have a lot of empathy for what other people feel. I think I'm able to adapt to situations that happen, right? But sometimes I let my feelings get the best of my judgment. Like, I'm just like a normal person. I cannot control what I feel, and I let it take over me.
So let's look at the technical definition. Emotional intelligence: the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. So we're talking about awareness of the emotions of ourselves as well as those around us, and to be able to harness and apply those for day-to-day situations as well as problem solving, and then managing and controlling for yourself or for other people, you know, how you impact others, respond to others, expressing effectively and appropriately, right?
Yeah, and I think what happened with Ice Princess, for instance, is that I was just trying to understand what happened, right? I mean, how she was feeling after that sad text that I got.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to ask, is there a time you might say you displayed a specific lack of emotional intelligence in this situation?
I think the birthday trip overall went well, but I think perhaps I applied a little too much pressure into maybe I wanted either some definitions or I wanted to kind of know what was happening, right? Mm-hmm. Because in my head, we've been talking all summer. But in her head, this was like, the third time that we meet. which is true.
Thus, one of the challenges of the long distance relationship. And in retrospect, you felt bad for maybe applying too much pressure, maybe being a bit too pushy, or not giving her space or time to adjust, warm up to you on her own terms.
Yeah, because I felt bad because I didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable, right? I wanted her to feel comfortable and happy. And that was probably, I didn't do it all the time, but I think it did, she didn't feel maybe super comfortable with some of the things I was expecting. My problem is that we were both expecting different things. Perhaps she wasn't expecting anything. And I came in with some expectations, right?
That's right. And so you got the uncomfortable text message that was highly unexpected at the time because you were feeling pretty good.
Yeah, no, I had no idea because
Right.
we were talking normal. And then it just kind of came, a few days later.
So how do you recover? How do you bounce back from that? You gave it a day, right?
I took a day to kind of think about what was that she was trying to tell me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't like to reply to things like that right away because I need some time to also assess how I feel. It's not what I wanted to happen, obviously. I wanted things to just keep going. And then I got some good advice from some friends, including your wife. I talked to her for a while. And also because they both happen to be Geminis. So I think it was a good person to talk to. And she was kind of explaining me her perspective, right? I think she was just trying to get to know me and have fun and then just see where things go.
Sure, yeah, and maybe that's an example of you showing a little bit more emotional awareness. You turned around and you basically gave her an acknowledgement and an apology, so to speak.
Yeah, I pretty much wrote to Ice Princess the next day, and I just said, sorry that this happened. I just trying to, something along the lines of I wanted her to feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. And sorry that I didn't understand her perspective in time. Right? It's not something that I wanted.
Yeah, that you explained, you really understood her reservations and regretted making her feel anything other than comfortable, right?
Yeah, that was certainly not my goal, to make her uncomfortable.
Yeah, and taking a step back, you were able to see how you got there and then rethink your attitude and approach and adjust from there.
Precisely. I think overall we had a good time, but I think there was some days that if I could do it over, I would have do it over.
Right, and sometimes we talk about being intense versus relaxed, and this is an area where usually you come out ahead, but sometimes even you can get
a little intense.
Yeah, a little intense.
Now, is that the South American in me? Is that the lesbian side in me? Is that that's just me, right? Or is that everything together? I think it's everything together.
Or just the entitled millennial part of you, right?
just my millennial part.
Yeah. So you reevaluated, and you after 24 hours or so, you give her basically the apology, and you leave it on a willingness to continue as friends with no pressure or expectations.
With no pressure. I was like, yeah, we can obviously be friends. There's
right.
Like nothing happened, right? There's no reason not to talk.
Yeah.
And then we go on to texting the normal amount. Not that very same day, but, And
within a day or two.
Within a day or two, we were just texting normal.
Right. And so that was you going from shifting away from intense back into your relaxed mode where there was no pressure, no expectations, and we're totally starting fresh, more or less.
And to be totally honest, she took a big weight off my shoulders because I was pressuring myself too, right, to get everything figured out. But after that, the pressure component came off. Mm-hmm. And I was just feeling very good. I'm like, because at that point, is whatever happens, happens. I have nothing to lose. I already had nothing to lose then, but I think maybe I was taking things maybe a little bit too serious.
Sure. And it seems to have been effective right? Because within a couple days, you guys are talking, and she's mentioning maybe coming to visit.
Yes, and that I was very surprised.
Yeah,
Because
right.
she broke up with me, and then 2 days later, she was supposed to take a trip with a friend, and she had an opportunity to come see me in Philadelphia, and she asked, if I would be okay with it, or what did I think. And I was very surprised. Didn't expect that at all, especially 2 days after the horrible text that I got. But at the same time, I was very excited. And then I told her, yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea. What would you like to do? Would you like to go to just Philadelphia? We can go to DC. I gave her a couple scenarios of travel, and I think she decided on coming to Philly and then leaving out of New York so we can spend a day or two in New York City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good plan. So, yeah, it really worked out for the best because it kept things casual and low pressure going into that next meeting, which was, a couple weeks after that conversation?
Yeah, I think it was about maybe 2 weeks after that.
And, honestly, in retrospect, it seems that perhaps after she put the distance between you with the breakup text, she maybe started missing you or liking you a bit?
Maybe I became more desirable. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Your willingness to back away and reevaluate, admit your role, your responsibility.
Yeah, I still don't know what happened, but something happened.
Well, just your willingness to concede you could have handled yourself better, acknowledging her right to move on her own terms at the speed she's comfortable was seemingly enough to ease her concerns. Yeah. Enough at least to visit you in Philly and hang out with you for a weekend.
It was enough to come by and see me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it also took a big pressure off of me as well.
Yeah, right.
Because I was just having things as they come.
And you guys had a good connection, despite a couple of bumps in the road. It seems that it's a common challenge, especially today's climate of people being maybe generally flaky or prone to ghosting when making new connections and dating, even when the connection's very deep and positive at first. Unfortunately, especially when it's like that and the opportunity appears the most promising, people sometimes tend to freeze or scare away, right?
Yeah, I think it comes a little bit of maybe slowing things down a little bit because nobody wants to get hurt or disappointed, right? I think there's a little bit of that component, but also we're completely different, Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are polar opposite personality. Like everything that we do is completely different. Like she's the kind of person that make lists. I'm the kind of person that doesn't know where her lists are and it has only one item. She is very just plan things ahead, and I tend to not plan anything.
That's right. And you've also mentioned she's discussed how you're different than other people she's dated, other people she's encountered in the past. And maybe that was part of the lingering attraction as well, her kind of seeing you as a refreshing change.
Yeah, she did say that I was very different from anybody else she's ever dated. So maybe a little bit of curiosity. We're different, but also complementary at the same time.
Yeah.
It was kind of nice.
Yeah. And so I guess in that scenario where people feel a connection, it makes them feel a bit vulnerable, and they throw up their defenses, that happens a lot. And there are maybe two fundamental errors people make. One is the person who's scared away from the relationship, and they're experiencing that sudden connection, and maybe they have a fear of being hurt or a fear of disappointment. So they take a defensive posture, and that's something that is learned over time from past experiences, disappointments, rejections.
Right.
You conditioned for that. Then the other side is the person who's left to respond appropriately or not to what appears like a sudden withdrawal of the other party, right? Then that's you in that scenario, and you can either be intense and try to beg your way back into their life, or you take a step back and a more relaxed posture.
Yeah, and I think in this case, I just was open to whatever possibility, right? That's part of being vulnerable. You take a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Brene Brown, for all the wonderful things you taught me in your book.
There you go.
But being vulnerable is it's you taking risk. You expose your emotional side. It's very scary, but it's also it requires a great deal of courage, right? And courage is sexy. That's just something everybody admires in other people.
Sure. Yeah, and it's good to be carefree and confident, but difficult to maintain that all the time in every situation. You could have just as easily gotten mad at her for breaking up with you and went down that road, right?
Well, yeah, I was just happy and trying to take things as they come. But I had some friends tell me, I don't think I would be okay with that after, somebody breaking up with me. But I really had nothing to lose, and I still liked her. Nothing changed in 2 days, right? You can't, not even in a week, you don't stop liking somebody.
Right. Yeah, and there's no reason to get mad at someone for what could just be their natural reaction and adjusting to a new thing.
Getting mad at somebody for not liking you is very childish.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. So people turning hot and cold all of a sudden, that can sometimes just be a part of a person's personality, or often cold spells could be the hesitation or symptoms from those underlying fears we're talking about.
And that's assuming the person is still somewhat into you. And then there's the cold where they're just done with it.
Sure.
Right.
You should be able to read that, I guess. Even though it's not easy, maybe that should be the easier cold to read.
Yeah, and I think at first I thought maybe that's what she wanted, just not keep seeing me. But it was confusing to me because overall, I did some things it's not that I regret. I would have done it differently. But we also had a good time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're connecting with somebody, there's a lot that goes into it. At any rate, she said she was going to come. I felt very good about it. I was excited. And I told her that I would start planning the trip. Meaning I was going to literally plan the trip. Like decide what restaurants we're going to go to, what things we're going to do. And then I started getting even more excited.
Well, good. Right. So she's facing her fears, perhaps, maybe taking a chance with you again. And again, under no, firm expectations or anything. We're still doing this as friends, but you were hopeful yet casual that it would...
I was hopeful, but I was also had no idea what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
No idea, nor was I expecting anything, right? Because Geminis are a little weird. I just didn't expect anything.
Right. And so you continue talking to her the next couple weeks, just casually.
Casually, I'm still treating her pretty much the same, right? Maybe perhaps I wasn't.
You were staying away from the relationship.
I was trying to stay away from the relationship lingo texting, right? I did not want to do that because I didn't want to assume anything.
Got it. And so she's on her way. She gets there. What's this like? She shows up. What's the vibe immediately?
The vibe immediately was confusing because she told me to be somewhere at the airport, and she was not. She was telling me I'm at arrival gate, whatever, and then turns out she was in departure. But finally, after 10 minutes, I found her, and it was good. She was feeling good. She was excited. A different mindset altogether. Because when I got there to Iceland on my birthday trip, it kind of takes us a whole maybe night for us to kind of be vibing on the same energy level. And this time was different. And I think the main difference was because she was on vacation, right? She didn't have to go to work. She also didn't have to host me, right? Even though at that point I had a hotel that I stayed at. But there's a lot of pressure off of her. because she's in my territory. She's just excited, visiting another city that she doesn't know. I mean, there's a lot to look forward to. So it was exciting. I ended up going to Spruce Harbor. It's this little boardwalk in Philadelphia. And it's kind of nice at night because they have a lot of string lights. So it's kind of cool little place to get a beer. You overlook the boats. Afterwards, we went to get some dinner because we were both hungry. So we just got sushi. And at this point, I planned everything for this trip, right? She did tell me there are certain things that she wanted to see. Like she wanted to kind of walk around and get to know Philly. So I just took those things into consideration. But New York City, I did it all by myself, basically.
Well, yeah, and like you said, I mean, more than one ways you're turning down the pressure all around on her because she doesn't have to host, plan, worry about, dating expectations, things like that. Resultingly, she's a completely different person.
Yeah.
You guys are able to completely vibe all over again.
Yeah, so it was very comfortable the first night. And after dinner, this funny story. After dinner, I decided to take her to a hipster bar in West Philadelphia. While they have good bars in Iceland, I did not see any hole-in-the-wall hipster bar, right? So this bar is on the second floor of a little old building, and it literally has a room where you're not allowed to dance because I think either the floor might be coming down. I'm not really sure what the reason is not to dance. They have a bluegrass band, right? So somebody's playing the banjo, very, very hipster looking. And I tell her they make great cocktails at this bar. So we get to the bar, and the guy's like, what do you guys want to drink? I order an old-fashioned, and she orders Cosmo. The guy was like, we can make any drinks, right? She's like, oh, I want a Cosmo. He's like, well, we can make any drinks between 1920 and 1950. She's like, what the fuck?
I guess the Cosmo's too contemporary.
I don't know. So, okay, so she orders whatever house drink. And the whole time she's like, this bar is so weird, So people started to dance to the band on the dance floor. And people would come by, the security guy, and say, hey, don't dance, don't jump. You're not allowed to dance here. Kind of like the town of Footloose, this like weird hipster bar in Philadelphia. Just the whole vibe is very, very weird. After our drinks are over, we bounce. We go back to the house because we have an early day the next day. When we got to my house, we hung out. Things were going well. I wasn't being overly flirtatious or anything. I was just trying to just see what happens, right? But everything ended well for me. I think we got closer that first night. Right. The next day, we just had some coffee in my house, and we went about exploring Philadelphia. Spent the whole day just walking around. It kind of sucked because it was rainy, so it wasn't the best day to see Philadelphia. But it wasn't raining that bad, and it wasn't cold or anything. We went to the Philadelphia Magic Garden. It's like this place full of mosaic art. Very cool place. We went to the One Liberty observation deck. But you couldn't see anything of the city because of the clouds, right? So when we got up there, the guys were like, we're charging less for the entrance because you cannot see anything. But the clouds kind of move away when we got there, so it wasn't too bad.
Nice.
And I also didn't really look because I'm terrified of heights, so I was just sitting down because I was feeling dizzy while she looked. Then we went to the Philadelphia Museum steps, so, we could see where they filmed the movie Rocky. It's a very cool place. The museum looks very good.
So at this point in the day, throughout all your sightseeing and everything, you guys walking around, what's her level of warmth, her body language like?
She was very comfortable with me. I would not say that we were acting all lovey-dovey, right? I would not say that things were overly maybe friendly or whatever. But it was good. We were vibing. I think we were both happy just to be around each other and explore the city. And I was excited to also see some of those places because I have never been to any of those places.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So everything was very good. We ended the night at my friend's house. My friend has a very big, weird house in Philadelphia, very nicely decorated. My friend Patrick and Albert, shout out to them for always making me comfortable at their house. So we just hung out there because they had a nice porch. We had a few drinks, we talked, and then we went home because we had to wake up early the next day to go to New York City. And the night ended well as well, you know. I think we started vibing even more off of each other. I was very happy by that point.
But it was more of an unspoken thing at that point.
Yeah, we did not talk about anything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to like push my luck.
Just hanging out, keeping it casual.
Yeah, I'm just happy with anything that happens, right? By the time we went to New York City, we got on the bus the next day. And, you know, I was feeling maybe a little bit more affection off of her. And then that made me super happy. So getting into New York City, we get off the bus and go immediately to the hotel so we can check in because she had her bag. And I think I also had a little backpack or something. I don't remember. And we were staying near the September 11th Memorial. We checked in and then we were going to go about our day to start walking. At any rate, so after we checked in, we went to the Brooklyn Bridge to take a walk because it's a nice architecture bridge in New York. And that was the first time that I went to Brooklyn Bridge because I have not done anything touristy in New York.
It's a pretty walk.
Yeah, it's nice. It was full of people. Everybody walking around. People were like hitting into each other. The amount of little bloggers that were there, like the girls with beautiful dresses, like just to take the one good photo.
I see.
I mean, that was hilarious.
Influencers.
Influencers or I don't know.
Insta Queens.
Insta Queens. That's a good name. We should brand that.
I think it's out there. So that's a nice walk, the Brooklyn Bridge, and then another really nice one in Manhattan is the High Line.
Haven't done that.
Yeah, it's an old elevated rail that they've turned in kind of like a greenway, a green belt. It's very pretty.
Oh, is that where they have they have some like a garden or something?
It's garden-esque all throughout, and then probably at the south end of it towards that end is the Chelsea Market if you want to like stop and get a bite and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm
pretty
familiar with the Chelsea Market. Yeah, she was telling me about that, but we didn't get to go. Then we went to Central Park after that. We walked around a little bit. Before Central Park, we had a drink. We got some coffee. We got to sit right by the park, people watch. I mean, just watching people in New York City is already so exciting because everybody's just going about their day. And like I said, it's a very lively city to be in, right? So after taking a walk at Central Park, we go back to the hotel because I have an evening planned, right? And a part of my plans was to take her to one of the restaurants that they filmed an episode of Sex and the City.
All right.
Just because I thought that was neat, right? Because she's already been to New York at this point. I don't know how many times, but she's done the touristy things in New York. So there wasn't a lot of pressure for me to take her to see those things. And I thought the restaurant would be a nice touch. And you have to understand, at this point, I've already gotten lost in New York once because I'm terrible at reading the GPS. Like, I always take the wrong road. It's just terrible. We go back to the hotel, get ready. Then I have this evening plan. I took her to a rooftop bar. The rooftop was nice. The problem with the rooftop bars in New York is that they're highly overpriced because you're paying for the view. But the drinks aren't good either. Right, the drinks are very mediocre. We go to the rooftop. It was nice, but the whole place was very mediocre. We watched the sunset, what we could of it that wasn't blocked by buildings. And I told her, okay, let's go to this restaurant that I was going to take her to. So we decided to leave the rooftop bar to go to the restaurant that I did not have reservations because they don't take any. This place is called Part3, is in East Village. They are also very famous because there's a Brazilian singer who recorded a video there. It's just a very iconic place. It's the busiest place in New York City with the shittiest reviews. I mean, the food is terrible. But we decided to go because it's a very picturesque kind of place, right? But just very different.
Just for the novelty. Yeah, I get it.
So we get on a train, and I fuck it up again. I took the wrong train, and then not every train you can exit to go to the other side so you can come back. So we had to go like 3 or 4 stops for us to switch to go to the other side of the train. And I think maybe I annoyed her a little bit. But I'm very bad at directions. Like, I should not be in charge. Especially trains in New York are very confusing. Because like we were saying, they don't have north or south or anything like that. It's just end-to-end points. So you have to take a little bit of time to get familiar. And walking through East Village, just so you can picture, it's full of college kids, people smoking weed on the streets, talking. Everybody's very good looking, lots of hipsters. We get to the Pana place, and so there's 4 restaurants that are very similar to each other. 2 is going up the stairs, and then 2 are in the basement. When you get there, I told Ice Princess, when we get there, these guys are going to try to pull us to a restaurant that's not the restaurant we want to go to, so you just stay focused to where you want to go to. Imagine her Icelandic mindset, like, what the fuck kind of place is this that you're taking me?
Yeah, they're hustlers.
And we get there. That's exactly what happened. Oh, Pana2 is this one, is this one, is this one. And I told her, no, it's the one upstairs. So the guy was like, no, just come in. We go into the right restaurant. The only reason why I know that, put a pin on the story, is that I went to this restaurant a few years ago with some friends. And we go to the restaurant downstairs. He's like, oh, Pana2 right this way. And I didn't even look at any names because they don't have any names. So I'm sitting downstairs, and then my friend's like, we're here, where are you? And then we're like, oh, we're here too, where are you? They're like, you cannot miss because the restaurant has only like maybe 8 tables. So she's like, what the fuck, where are you? So I go outside to meet her. She's like, no, they took you to the wrong restaurant. And I told the manager, what the fuck, you lied to me. So we pay our bill, and then we go upstairs to the correct restaurant. So that's the only reason why I told Ice Princess that we might get tricked, is because that happened to me before. As soon as we sat down, we were lucky enough to get a table without waiting. So as soon as we sit down, I asked for a drink menu. And at that point, I wanted to have a drink, right? Because it was a little bit nerve-wracking to me to be lost on a train for 40 minutes. A train ride that should have been 10. So I'm ready to have a drink. And then they say, oh, we don't have anything. It's BYOB. So then I tell Ice Princess, okay, hold on right here. I'm going to go outside, and I'm going to find us a bottle of wine. And I was like, what do you want? She's like, white wine's fine. So I walk a block up, get to the little convenience store, and I grab the first thing that I saw that was wine that had a twist top opener. And this is a 750 milliliter bottle, just regular bottle wine. And it said Chateau Diana. Bought it, didn't think anything of it. Anyway, so I start walking really fast to go back to the restaurant. She didn't have to wait. I asked her if she ordered when I got there. She's like, no, they haven't come by. And I was like, great, but we have something to drink now. I opened the wine, Jonathan. Pinot Grigio. It's fucking bubbly. I'm like, what the fuck kind of Pinot Grigio is this? Where's bubbles on it? It's like, I've never seen this shit. So I start drinking, and I feel no alcohol in the wine. And I tell her, I don't know. She's like, I don't think this is wine. I was like, how can it not be wine? So I start reading the label, and it says 6% alcohol.
That's some bunk wine, huh?
I think church wine has more alcohol. So I'm like, great, low. Now I'm not going to get drunk at all.
Well, it's some of that New York black market fake wine.
Oh, and then I decided to Google it because I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then the first 2 articles said, scam New York City grocery store. They market this wine as wine, and it's not really wine. So we just drank what we could. The whole time we were laughing because the people kept walking by our table. So she had her little chicken curry dish. She had to protect it with her hands so people wouldn't bump into the table with their butts and like over her chicken, right? because the place was so packed and so tight. Overall, at that point, a very weird evening because the rooftop bar was kind of weird and we kind of got lost. It wasn't that we were like mad at each other or anything.
And you were wandering the wilderness for a while.
Yeah, it was just
Back
the wilderness.
And forth on trains.
The wilderness of the trains. Yeah, it was just a weird evening. And then after we're done, she's like, okay, let's just go back to the hotel tonight. It's just weird. Because we had a very nice view of the Brooklyn Bridge at the hotel. So it was nicer to stay in a room. We grabbed a 6-pack of real beer this time. And then we just head back to the hotel. We had a wonderful evening. We pretty much talked for a long time. So the next day we go to check out and we gather our things. We're leaving the room. We're outside waiting for the elevator. And I'm just looking at her like I just want her, right? Because she looks so beautiful. I mean, she had on this top and I was just like, I could hardly handle myself. I didn't say anything, but the looks I was giving, she was like, what's going on with you? And I said, I don't know. You just look so beautiful. And I was like, I don't know. I just think I want you, right? And then she was like, well, you missed your chance because we already left the room. And I was like, what the fuck? The room is literally like 10 steps from where we're staying. So I was like, you want to go back to the room real quick? She was like, okay. So we go back to the room. The guy's already cleaning our room. And then I tell him, sir, we need another 15 minutes because we need to do something that I forgot. Could you give us some privacy? And I was like, we're not even going to use the bathroom or anything. You can just take it. He's like, yeah, no problem. So he leaves, and then we have a good time. And we go check out maybe shortly after that, right? We get ready again and go downstairs. And this girl looks so beautiful, Jonathan, with whatever outfit she was wearing. I was finding her irresistible. It was hard to play it cool then. I mean, if somebody looks that good, it's just, and you're vibing with them, it's very hard to be cool. So we check out and we leave our bags there so we can walk around for the day. The plan was to go to Times Square for a little bit. And I didn't really want to go to Times Square, but I was like, okay. So I put on the GPS and then I tell her, okay, let's walk this way. We start walking maybe 10 minutes to see if we're going to be on a train or not. And then walking, and then she was like, I want to have a hot dog because she hasn't had a hot dog in New York. They're not that great, but it's something that you need to have, right? So we go after the hot dog, we eat it, we keep walking. I start seeing the bull from Wall Street. We passed there, and then I'm wondering, I wonder if we walked the wrong direction because I don't think we're supposed to pass the bull, right? Then all of a sudden, the street kind of ends in New York, and I've reached the end of the island where you can see Lady Liberty. I totally fucked it up. I went to the opposite place.
I mean, that's lower Manhattan, and you need to be in the middle.
Oh, my God. Like, how do I keep doing that? Like, I cannot. Like, it's the Google GPS. For driving, it's fine, but for walking, I don't know if it takes so long to locate you. I just always fuck it up. Just always.
Seemed to be a recurring trend on your trip anyway.
Yeah, I'm not going to be in charge of walking directions anymore. It's just not good for me.
Unless you wander the wilderness some more.
Yeah. So she was leaving at around 4 or 5 that day, and we didn't have a lot of time, right? So she wanted to get on the subway, and I was like, no, I already called the Uber because we don't have a lot of time. So we decided to go to the tattoo shop because we talked about getting a tattoo. We found one on Google. It wasn't the best tattoo shop that I've been to, but imagine trying to find a tattoo shop Sunday morning in New York City is not the easiest thing, right? Perhaps in Brooklyn, I would have had a better chance. If we had more time, I would have gone to this guy I know in Brooklyn, but we didn't want to get off the island just for the sake of traffic. I didn't want her to be late for her flight or anything like that.
Well, and this is a pretty crazy thing to do on the tail end of your half date, right?
Yeah, I think some people maybe thought, I don't know, maybe think it's intense to get a tattoo together. But to me, getting a tattoo is no big deal. Maybe to get a matching tattoo, after everything that happened, I don't know, but I was fine with it.
So we're not talking about a matching tattoo.
No, she had a idea of her own tattoo, and then I had something else, which is a Roman wreath, which I like. I have a folder of things that I want to get tattooed in case. And I was like, in case this occasion comes out, she was like, "What the fuck?" We have ready to do tattoos ideas. We get there to the tattoo shop. We show the guy the design. This is in Greenwich Village. We showed the design, and he was like, "Okay, I'm going to need about an hour or so because I need to draw this up. And the tattoo artist is getting here. She's not here yet. You guys need to put the deposit." We went outside, and we started having a few drinks. I don't know if you're supposed to drink before a tattoo.
Technically, no, but...
I think they say no, but I always well...
I assume a pretty significant percentage of tattoo recipients are some degree of inebriated.
With something, yes.
Yeah.
I would say that. So we're having a drink. We eat some snack. And we had about 2 drinks. And they finally call us up. We get the tattoo. It felt good to get a tattoo. I'm always excited after I get a tattoo. And at that point, it was a little tipsy. We got out of there, and I had a beer in my bag from the night before because I didn't want to throw it away. So we opened, and we ate to this place to eat falafel. It had a huge line. She actually didn't know what falafel was. And I explained to her a little bit. It was pretty good. So we're walking around finishing the beer that from the night before. And I think the plan from that time, because it was already near 2 or something, was just to get a few more drinks before we go back to the hotel. We found this cute little place, had Bloody Marys, and then we get back to the hotel. So we get downstairs, and I made the goodbye very easy this time because she had to get to the airport. So we get her bag, we haul at a cab. I haul at a cab for her. And then I say, "Hey, take this beautiful girl to JFK." And then I just give her a hug and a kiss, and then that's it.
Smooth.
And then she leaves, yeah. It was less nerve-wracking than when I left Iceland last time, that I had to say goodbye twice.
Leaving your bag and such.
Yeah, this goodbye was awesome. It was very classy.
Sounds good, yeah. Sounds like a movie.
So then I went back home after that. She texted me saying that she made it to the gate. And she actually worked the next morning. I don't know how, because we kind of drank on the heavier side of things that day. Especially after the fireball. The fireball made me drunk.
Maybe she just does better with that than you do.
I think most people do better than me, especially with shots. But yeah, she worked the next day, and she said that she had a good time. Thank you so much for having her and for, taking time to plan everything. And we really enjoyed ourselves. It was awesome. I was really pumped.
Yeah, sounded good overall, and you went from kind of 0 to 10 there in a short period of time.
And I didn't mind that at all, right? Because I was not expecting anything, but I never stopped liking her. So to me, this was all just bonus points. I was very happy. And at this point, I wasn't sure what to think of it still, right? Because she came and we thought we were just going to be friends. But everything's going well. I mean, we're still talking, so I'm very happy.
Really well, yeah?
Very well, yeah.
So what a pleasant turnaround for Ice Princess.
Yeah, it was quite unexpected, and I'm obviously very happy about it.
That's excellent. Well, cool. Sounds like the connection really started to rebuild there.
I think we're even getting along better, I would say, yeah.
Well,
not that we didn't get along. I think it brought us closer.
Yeah, the whole experience kind of broke the ice from a new angle and got past maybe some initial defenses, and also, took you down a peg or two, and you guys met in the middle. Pretty neat.
Yeah, she also I got to see a different side of her, right? Which was her side not having to be at work, and she got to be in my home this time, right? My country, so just acted a lot differently.
A whole different environment and vibe this time.
Yeah, different environment
cool.
Altogether, but it worked out.
Well, cool. Well, and you guys plan on seeing each other again?
We do. We have plans to see each other. So I'll be seeing her next week.
Oh, well, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, then I'd say we can probably wrap up and sign off.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. All right. We hope everyone enjoyed this segment of Tinderland. And if you want to ask Andrea a question, want to hear more, or even discuss sharing your own stories with us, feel free to reach out via the web or social media. Hit the contact form online at tinder.land, and then Instagram or Facebook at Tinderland Podcast. And speaking of listener stories, in upcoming episodes, we're looking at a missing persons episode where the Tinder match ends up being mistaken for, or actually literally being, a missing person. Also working on a segment of mid-date walkouts where daters describe not quite making it through dinner before deciding they're not wasting any more time with that one.
All those things sound very interesting.
So again, if you want to share your own story, just reach out. And until next time, thanks for listening to Tinderland, and happy swiping.
Happy swiping, guys. Thanks for listening.